In this module, we're going to look at your obligations towards applicants and tenants. You have an obligation to your landlord because they pay your fees and your major obligation is to them. But you do have obligations to tenants and to applicants, and we'll run through that during this module. Clearly, main income comes from fees and commissions you take from landlords. This means you're acting for and on behalf of the landlord, and you must act in their best interests at all times, as we've said in a previous module. But you do act for tenants, you make money from them, from the services you provide, so therefore you have to act in their best interests. Generally, whoever is paying you the fee is your client, and that is the person that you have to act in the best interests of. You have a duty to them. We now understand you've got an obligation to applicants. There are various legal obligations that you have to applicants. So for example, you accompany them on viewings, and so health and safety is important and is an obligation on you. When you're managing a property, you have obligations to provide the property in a safe condition on behalf of the landlord. When you're dealing with tenants, you must provide them with copies of the EPC, copies of gas safety certificates, the how to rent guide. You must provide them with the prescribed information on deposits and what's going to happen to the money when they pay a deposit. Failure in any of these areas can leave you and the landlord open to action, so you have to provide that information to tenants in the right way. You also have obligations under the Consumer Protection from Unfair Trading regulations to applicants and tenants. You must provide them with accurate descriptions and information about a proposed tenancy and about the property itself. And you must provide applicants with all that material information that they'll need to make an informed decision about whether to enter into any tenancy, whether to even pay an application fee. This includes full information about the fees that you will charge them. Under the Consumer Rights Act, you have obligation to display the fees that you are going to charge applicants and tenants, and you must display those fees in your branch, and they must be readily available for applicants and tenants to view. You must also provide that information on your website. But the Advertising Standards Authority takes that obligation a little bit further. And they say, if you're advertising a property on your website, you must display clearly the fees that you're going to charge in relation to that property to any applicant or tenant. Now you can do that by displaying them directly on the advert, or you can provide a link, and most agents provide a link to the fees, but it is there. The Consumer Rights Act also places implied obligations on you when tenants pay you fees for services. So you must carry out those services with reasonable care and skill. You must carry them out within a reasonable time. You must carry them out charging them a reasonable price. Tenants can take action against you through the courts if you don't do that. So lots of obligations in relation to tenants. The Property Ombudsman's Code of Practice bolsters all this up, and it states that your duty of care and your obligations are to the client, the landlord, to whom you must offer suitable advice to meet their needs and aims. But all parties in the transaction, both applicants and tenants, must be treated fairly and with integrity. As such, make sure that tenants are at the forefront of your mind when you're dealing with any tenancy situation.